Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87 and this is Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All Part 27. In the previous video, I basically was forced to come to terms with the fact that I think this case is garbage and I hate it. I really don't want to stay on it for too long because I'll get mad in a few seconds when we get another stupid section. So there'll be plenty of salt there, but like I just think this case is really bad. It's like easily the worst in the series so far. And granted, I say so far, but honestly, like, it's kind of like killed my enjoyment of the series. I mean, I was already planning on taking a decent break after beating this game, but it's gonna be a much longer one unless the ending is just absolutely amazing. But I just feel like the game has kind of taken like a big nosedive in quality in the last, like, basically this last half. Like, the final, like, day of Chapter 3, I wasn't too impressed with, and then I just feel like this whole entire case has been pretty bad. But let's see how it wraps up. Or, I mean, we're not going to finish it in this video, but in the next few videos, we should probably be near the end. Mr. Corito is going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as a Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet, however. It's almost like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, just to briefly address it, the reason the frickin' photo prompt is so bad is A, it requires like 4 leaps of logic, and B, the question is, what was inside the case? Even if I had made the connection that, like, oh, there was obviously a spare Nickel Samurai costume in his guitar case for some reason, I would have never assumed that you present the photo as your link, because I would assume that's what you're saying is that the photo was in the case. Because, like, say when you present, like, the suicide report, it was like, why would the suicide report be in the case? And it's like, well, no, I mean, like, the note that's referenced in there was in the case, but, like, it doesn't count for that logic, but it counts for the photo. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something? And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corita, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on guard. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. It's almost as if it was deliberately written to be misleading. Miss Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Shut up, don't patronize me. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for that. Please don't. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You! Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin himself. What? It looked like somehow Juan had gotten his hands on a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it ever been revealed. What? But why would he need to do it dressed up as the Nickel Samurai? If he had just gone on the late night talk show host and done it, you know? And do you know what the secret of Miss On Guard's is, Miss Andrews? I don't know, he like frickin' killed someone. That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. It turns out he likes banana pudding, the heretic. I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. On Guard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. Don't ever talk to me again. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt like I had to protect him. Yeah, whatever. Don't look. This does account for everything. No, it doesn't. Well, I am the logical type. No, you're not. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. It's like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. That implies there's actually any logic to this trial. The moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling Matt was the murderer. Would you say that it was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Ah. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? Apples, oranges, grapes. A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. Where have I heard this? And if you think those 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. Should have already known that, Phoenix. Yeah, but like, she's the one making leaps of logic. She has no reason to know that knife was Matt's. Like, just, like, assuming you walk into the room, you see a knife in the dude's chest. You're not going to be like, oh, that's definitely Matt's knife. Like, you're not going to remember whether or not the knife was missing off his plate on the top of his head, top of your head. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? No. Okay, do we even have any idea that Matt knows about this press conference? So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. OnGuard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? He told me? Anyway, and I have the powers to tell when people are lying via psychic magic? What? I can't present that in court? This game's... Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree, Miss Andrews. Please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Okay, I don't know what his motive was. I don't have any way to prove I'm right. So we have to prove she's wrong. We have to prove he did not know about the press conference. Well, I mean, he told us, but there's no actual evidence. Strangled with a scarf. I mean, that's definitely going to be important eventually. His rivals, blah, blah, blah. But didn't you already testify earlier that Matt on guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. On Guard? Also, why would you be covering for On? Because, like, you're testifying that you helped Corita come up with a press conference that would destroy Matt, and now you're like, but I'm actually doing this to protect Matt. Like, that's a contradiction right there. I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at that time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Mr. Andrews has said, or Miss Andrews has said. What are you? Yes, there's plenty of flaws. I can't say the same for some of the people here in the courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the jamming ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt Sakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. That... Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. It was torn off with Juan during his fight with Matt. Wrong. There wouldn't be blood on it. Which one do I present? Do I present the photo? Because he was killed, you know, the contradiction, he was strangled with the scarf. The button was ripped off afterwards. Blood, that's why the knife was used, was to get blood to put on the button to make it look like Matt had stabbed him. But the button couldn't have been ripped off prior because the knife hole, there would be a, you know, a knife gouge in it based on where, so we'll press the last sentence, but I think that's the contradiction. I just don't know what to present. I don't know if they want the button, if they want the photo, or if they want the, well, it's probably the button or the photo. I don't know if they want the photo or the button, though, or if both will work. What you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? At the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. On Guard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? Any second now. And the same reason why Mr. Corita planned such an... It's the same reason why Mr. Corita planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. On Guard as much damage as she possibly could. Witness bears ill will towards the defendant, so maybe the suicide had something to do with Matt, after all? Because it said she was his manager previously, right? This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. Well, technically, all my words are written. I'm not actually saying anything out loud, so it would be libel. As expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Yeah, I know. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong... yeah. Now the question is, what do they want? I think it's photo, but could be button. Come on, man. Why you gotta do me like that? Like, really, the photo doesn't count? Are you kidding me? That's not the contradiction. Ah, I didn't save! Okay, maybe it's autopsy report, which, I mean, I guess that would kind of work. He was stabbed after he died. But, like, I feel like the photo should definitely work as well. Because you can see he's stabbed where the button would have been. You know? This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. Yeah, I said that, man. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it's impossible this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously put off the victim's arm. I mean, this is actually a pretty good prompt. I mean, I'm a little annoyed that the crime photo doesn't work. I mean, I think the autopsy, because I mean, you do kind of have to establish, like, I feel like in a sense the crime photo is better, but also in a sense the autopsy's better. Like, I'd see why they want autopsy, but I think button should work. I don't know. But, because, I mean, you could make the connection with all three of these, but that one's fine. I'm a little annoyed, but that one, the logic makes sense there. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order! Order! What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off from the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Everything? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Social security number. What was the button torn off? Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean... Do you mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? To pin the crime on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. Some might even call them Day Killer. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer? Finally. Can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. I guess we should save. I just get so tired of having to save constantly, man. Oh, just get the questions right. Yeah, I know. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned... I mean, I guess it's gotta be frickin' her. Miss Adrian Andrews. I'm guessing it's something to do with, the reason she killed herself was something to do with Matt in the suicide note. You know? That was what, the guy was gonna reveal. I choose you! You are Mr. Corita's killer! Please, I need the humor, man, because the salt is just, it's too high. What?! That's another thing. Maybe that's the reason why this case is annoying me more. It's not very funny. Like, it's not, like, I don't know. I feel like the humor is, like, at an all-time low compared to all the other cases. Because usually what happens is, like, anytime something dumb, or something I think is dumb happens, I'll forget about it because the game will be funny, but I just feel like this case is, like, really lacked on the humor department. Maybe that's why, like, I'm still mad. Like, my salt hasn't washed away. Order! Order, Mr. Wright! This is a very... Because, I mean, also, I don't like the idea of it just being one long trial. I think the game works better with... when you only do a trial for, like, you know, 90 minutes or so, and then you have the investigation. The investigations are usually, like, very humor-focused with, you know, Wright interacting with all the side characters. Like, I feel like it's that balance that makes the game good. When it's all trial, no investigation. I mean, there was an investigation at the start, but, like... I feel like I would be less mad if after, before we did this Adrian stuff, if there had been another, like, quick investigation period or something. I don't know. Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? What about it? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defender's fingerprints can only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then... What about the button that was found in Matsukama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. Only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such an incriminating piece of evidence in his own Akama. Ah! Damn, I'm out of glasses. The only person who could have put this button onto Mr. On Guard's Akama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could have only been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, I can't shatter my glasses again. I don't have any more. But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found in the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. Anyone who found out she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. I mean, I mentioned the thing about the water earlier. But to avoid leaving any prints, you used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Yeah, you know, all those times in all the crime dramas where they're like, oh no, I found a dead body, let's get drunk. You know, that classic trope. Ah! That was my last pair. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. Yeah. No one. He would be too short if it was for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please stop. Don't bully me, man. I got bullied about that enough in school. You know what it's like being in 8th grade and still being 3'11"? Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? Got it this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. We don't believe in that shit here. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. By allowing a witness to not testify, the testimony can damage themselves. What? When they add that to the law? What do you mean it was one of the first? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Have you ever seen a, like, case before? In real life? Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room. Adrian Ann. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I mean, I only just now remember. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. I mean, it's kind of funny that they're, like, presenting it as, like, something that, like, most people wouldn't know about when, like, in America, the Fifth Amendment's, like, or, like, you know, pleading the Fifth is maybe the only thing the average person knows about, like courtroom stuff. Like, it's, like, one of the most commonly, like, common knowledge law type things in, for, like, American courts. That's when Francesca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things look bad. I mean, most people don't, like, maybe don't actually know exactly how the Fifth Amendment works, but they're familiar with the idea of pleading the Fifth, right? And then, like, using that as a shield, even though a lot of times you'll see people, like, mention it in situations when it actually wouldn't, be applicable. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. One thing I haven't done. You didn't turn the stove off back at the law office, did you? What's wrong, Mr. Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? Well, we only had the one investigatory period. I don't have that much to work with. I mean, I still got the suicide note stuff that you told me to present earlier, and then I got trolled. Thanks, Edgeworth. What's so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Since when do we give a shit about that word? What? Why have we suddenly started caring about the law all of a sudden? Yes, circumstantial. You have to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Since when? Prove that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corita. That's a motive. That's completely different. Where did you learn your degree, man? Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corita? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But you can't do that. Fucking stupid amendment, stupid Bill of Rights. I should have just accepted the baseline constitution the way it was, but no, they were like, oh, you gotta have these assurances or else fucking Rhode Island won't join on to the United States. Fucking Rhode Island pieces of garbage. If you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should I do? Do you have a whip I can borrow? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. What? In this situation, shit, dude, may as well just convict the Mac guy, right? Go home, pop some bubbly. Ho, ho, ho! The game's on tonight. And that is declare recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial? Tomorrow? You don't have a tomorrow. We don't get a not guilty verdict today, then, but she's like, fine, man. Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. Just take Matt. Yeah, execute him. I mean, wait, no, I can't let that happen either. Execute me. I mean, Edgeworth? Edgeworth did it, maybe? You are the killer, Mr. Judge? The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? Well, I mean, they're gonna, you make it sound like they're gonna take him out behind the courtroom and shoot him in the back of the head as soon as the trial's over. I mean, you know, justice is a bit quicker over there, but that's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... Yeah, because I guess Edgeworth doesn't actually know about the whole Maya stuff. It is, I still don't really get why Edgeworth is sticking up for her at this point, considering it's very obvious that she's, you know, at least, maybe not the killer. I mean, she's probably the killer, but there could be, like, you know, the secret third party here with the day killer guy that we still haven't really fully established yet, but... It's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It's not impossible for this trial to continue. Because, like, Edgeworth, you're supposed to have, like, gone off and, like, got a conscience, right, buddy? That was, like, the whole point of you disappearing, so, help me out? Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination, however... The topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, and she has no right to withhold testimony. What if she just claims she did all the crimes? Yes, I maybe did that, so plead the fifth. Yes, that is very true, but actually, there's one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural. That's what I've been saying! Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. Okay, didn't we say that earlier? And Edgeworth is like, I'm Edgeworth. I believe those are his words exactly. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I'd like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I'd like to request that the witness testify again, even if she ain't got no alibi, and to find out what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. You're a freaking poet and you didn't know it either. I mean, I would assume Edgeworth's thing is that, you know, he wants the correct verdict. So if he thinks the person is guilty, he's going to cooperate with us. And if he thinks they're innocent, then, he's not. Now, why he ever thought Matt was innocent or guilty doesn't really make sense because the evidence against him is so flimsy. But, you know, I would expect Edgy Boy to look through that. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Ms. Andrews, if you please. Now, the real question is, why does this freaking place only have 2 prosecutors? I mean, I guess there's the other tutorial guy, but, you know. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. In one, he was sitting slumped over and looking tired in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something. I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Bullshit. I'm trying to remember, what position was the chair in to the door relative? I don't know. I don't think it matters. It was just more of a thought experiment for myself. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. I'm gonna smack you. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, there's nothing left. And if you get it wrong, then you'll get a game over and you'll be forced to restart the trial. It's really fun. It's called gameplay. You hold down the B button and then you put in the answers for the stuff you've already put in. It's extremely fun. All the kids are loving it. Edgeworth, what in the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there's a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you just wait a little longer for it to be revealed to you? Nah. In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. No. Precisely, I couldn't have said it better myself. Go get a room, you two. And then Edgeworth ends up strangled. For some reason I was like, did she have a bandana on? Because like the bandana thing just like popped in my head. Like, is there some significance to what he was strangled with? And I was like, maybe she had a bandana and it was like her bandana and she killed the dude with that bandana to, I don't know. But there's no bandana there. So it was a mess? Just wait, did Kurita have a bandana? Is it his bandana? Okay, let's see if maybe he has something around his neck. I don't know if that's just a shirt, like he has like a fluffy collared shirt? Or a ruffly type? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Kurita? Mr. Wright, do you expect me to believe that one with such a great power level as the Jamming Ninja was defeated by Adrian Andrews? It doesn't make sense. I'll have you know, the Jamming Ninja's power level is over. I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. Okay, maybe. Maybe you're right. maybe go fuck yourself. He really looked he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? A man had a freaking knife in his chest. And there was all the disarray. What are you talking about? Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. And then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyway, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first. But then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. You just said something different like 2 seconds ago. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked. I had staggered backward and knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you just tell us the truth this time? Okay, so I'm kind of thinking, right? Because eventually we got to circle back around to this day killer shit. So, I mean, my original thought was that Adrian was the person who contacted us, right? But, like, what does she gain by On Guard being proven innocent? Because it seems like she had ill will towards him. Unless she had ill will towards him, learned that maybe Matt wasn't actually to blame for the suicide, and Corita was to blame. So then she, like, killed Corita, but then she went out of her way to frame Matt. I don't know. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but honestly, at this point, like, I care more about trying to figure out the big picture what happened than the actual small details, because I feel like the small details just don't make any sense most of the time, and I just get frustrated when I get it wrong. It was a mess. Because I feel like for the most part, the big picture always tends to make sense. Like, I can't really think of any times where I'm like, you know, the actual overall explanation for how a murder went down and why they did it. I feel like it always makes sense in that regard. But it just some of the small, like, just the tiny pieces of the testimony just at times are, like, really frustrating. Doubly so in this game with, like, the way they've made the health system complete garbage, where it's like, I mean, seriously, if you wanted to avoid not saving, you would have to go all the way from the end of the investigation up until basically the end of the episode without ever making more than, like, 2 mistakes. Potentially only even 1, because there's like, what, 3 different times where it's like it'll knock out your entire HP bar. Like, the HP system is so, like, I just don't know. Like, it was so much better in the first game. And it's just frustrating to have to constantly save and reload, save and reload, save and reload. Like, it's not fun. It takes me out of the game. It breaks immersion. And expecting you to do the entire case only making, like, 2 or 3 mistakes is ridiculous. Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. That sounded a little odd. He was slumped over, sitting in the corner. Well, he wasn't really in the corner, but I don't really feel like that's a contradiction. I don't remember where the door was relative, but I feel like he would have been facing... I'm trying to remember when we were in his room. It was kind of to the side, like directly from the door, but I can't remember if he would be facing towards you or away from you. I feel like he would be facing towards you, So you would definitely see the knife sticking in his frickin' chest. But once again, I don't know if that's a contradiction or like me nitpicking something. Like I don't know. Like do they really expect you to remember exactly what his room looked like and the position of the chair relative to the door? I don't think they do. That would be really stupid. So you didn't think he was dead at all. But, like, he had a freaking knife in his chest. But I don't know if we can... Like, I don't know if you would be facing towards her or away from her. I feel like you would be facing towards her. So then maybe the contradiction is that she should have noticed that he had a knife in his chest. And, like, a big blood stain. But if he's facing away, then, yeah, I could kind of see that being true. Like, not noticing that immediately. And then the fact that she offers like 2 different explanations for what happened back to back, I mean, that's suspicious, but nothing really directly links to that. I'm gonna try and present the stupid crime scene photo and get it wrong and then be mad. Oh, wait. Witness's statement is clearly faulty. I'm sorry, I can see nothing faulty. He really looked like he was sleeping. My man had a knife in his chest. Please, I can't open the options. I mean, he was stabbed with a knife? Like, there was a knife in his chest? Okay, so that's not what they want. Which is fine. Anyway, that's what I thought. You didn't think he was dead. Like, he always had such a hard time waking up. Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. Okay, after that, what happened next? I was shocked and staggered backward. I don't know. I mean, this is on me. I mean, I guess it depends until what the actual answer ends up being. But right now, my assumption is that I think there is something here. I'm just missing it. Okay, I understand your frustrations. Before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. I mean, they do kind of give you a hint on this line, but like, I don't know what they want. Or like, I don't know if that's actually a hint or if that's just like a random... Something right there sound a little odd. Like, I don't think so, no. Eyes tilted forward, her head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. He really looked like he was sleeping. Really looked like he was sleeping. I don't know what the game wants, man. You didn't think he was dead. You thought he fainted. I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he'd gotten into a fight with someone. He always has a hard time waking up, so Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I guess we have to enter into trial and error, because nothing's jumping out at me. God, it's just, We'll be right back. Okay, I think it just occurred to me. He was gonna do the stage so he wouldn't be trying to go to bed, right? That if this is actually it, that makes perfect sense, and not all is forgiven, but some is forgiven. Okay, nothing's forgiven. But like, he wouldn't have gone to bed because you knew he had the thing in like 10 minutes or something. Right? Like, what did cross your mind? Okay, where's the part where she said she was taking a nap? It was a mess. Okay, and it was this one. I was like, that kind of makes sense to me. Head tilted forward, eyes closed. But like, you know, he was gonna do the conference, man. He wouldn't have gone to bed. Right? Where's the part about losing the Grand Prix? Okay, let's try that. Ah! What? Didn't I do that already? I already did that. Why didn't it work last time? Whatever. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Why does that connect to that line and not the other one? Whatever, man. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. I tried to do that on the other line where she said she didn't think he was dead. But no, it's not that line where she said she didn't think he was dead. It's the other line where she said she didn't think he was dead. Whatever, man. God, I hate this case. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight... Okay, we're almost done with the game. We're almost done with the game. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. That's... Well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted. So, oh, that's the contradiction. It's not sleeping. Obviously, he could have been sleeping. It's there's no way he could have fainted. Why wouldn't both of them work? Both lines should work. Like, especially the one where he says, hey, that's odd. Like, you would think that's the one they're hinting at you that you presented on. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now was all one giant lie. I don't remember what time we're at. I think we're at like 50 minutes. I did pause. I stopped the recording and started a new one for that section when I wasn't talking, but I did also, like, I tried to do like another line, which was that when she said he was sleeping, I tried to present the press conference because I was like, well, he wouldn't be sleeping because he had the press conference and, like, you know, very soon afterward. So why would she think he was sleeping when, or like, you know, that he was mad about losing the Grand Prix when, like, he wouldn't be mad about losing the Grand Prix because he already had he had this backup plan, right? For if he lost, where he was going to ruin him. So he would be preparing for that. I don't know. It just doesn't... I feel like there's actually, like, kind of two lines of contradictions there. I think the knife one is definitely, like, more obvious. That's why it was what I was trying to go for, but you just present it on the line of dialogue that doesn't actually best correlate, as far as I'm concerned, which is just annoying. You are the real killer. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. Oh god, we're still not done, are we? The defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard, is not guilty after all. That's impossible, you're wrong! Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me, I tell you! It was Matt, I swear it, he's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. So, I mean, she's obviously not protecting Matt by refusing to testify. It probably has something to do with, the Celeste lady. But I don't really know what yet. Because obviously she's not trying to protect Matt because she's down there saying Matt killed him, Matt killed him. So, I don't know. Mr. Matt Ongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? Well, no. What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Ongard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. Jesus, man, can we at least have a fucking bathroom break? What? The reason is quite simple. This trial hasn't gone on nearly long enough yet. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you? Witness? Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted the silly idea in your head. As long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Ongard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francesca von Karma. Like what? Did she, like, frame Matt to get Phoenix in an unwinnable case or something? Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging on to them. Then, what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is to get her not guilty. That is my only priority. No, you're gonna corrupt yourself, Phoenix. You're gonna be like Edgeworth and prioritizing the verdict that you want over the actual best outcome. No, that won't be justice for all. It wasn't me. I'm begging you to please believe me. I didn't kill one. Help. Please, someone, help me. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? The court can continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Come on, get it right? There's a person crying out for protection. They're crying out for justice. You said the only reason you're a defense attorney is to protect your client. Here's a client. She needs help. You're supposed to help her. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there. Right? Incorrect. Come on now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. I mean, I will admit, even though I'm definitely tilted, this is good. This is good writing. This one specific narrow section of the case. Everything else, Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you're really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. Ongar would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? But be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify? It falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Oh, suicide stuff, Tom? Maybe? I mean, that's really the only piece of evidence that hasn't been used yet? Or that or something new entirely? Stop! Mr. Edgeworth! Oh man, that's a sweet bitchin' boombox. This witness? How should I put this? She has an illness. What? Because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. I mean, come on, Edgeworth, you're being kind of a dick. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. But please stop, I beg you. If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I'll pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. Will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either's fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Alright, we'll stop here. At least we're good. I'm just ready to be finished the game for now. Like, it's also like, I don't have anything else to record, so I kind of just, I don't have to mainline this, but like, I am, like, I do want to finish. I'm not hitting any buttons, man. I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part, and bye, guys.